Welcome to this episode of the Real News Extra. My name is Fred. I'm the operations manager here at RELAW APC, and joining me today is Jennifer Felten, the principal and founder of RELAW APC. So Jennifer, as you know, unfortunately, real estate fraud is a significant risk with real estate transactions. Can you please tell us about a recent case where the liability of the fraud was what was under dispute?
Right. So unfortunately, wire fraud has been an issue in real estate for several years now.
Yes.
Bad guys figured out that they could trick people into sending money to the wrong place if they, did the right things. We have way fewer instances of it than we used to, but it's still a real issue.
Right.
But it's been years going through the legal system on cases in this space of who's responsible, right? Because so if $500,000 goes missing, who has to eat the $500,000?
Right.
Right? And so that issue has been fought over and over and over.
I'm sure it has.
But this is the first appellate case that's kind of set a bar of who's responsible. Okay. And in this case, this was an attorney who was negotiating and had negotiated a settlement with a party on the other side. And then that attorney, they'd agreed to pay a sum of money and was duped into sending the money to the wrong place. So the people who were entitled to the money said, "We want our money." And he said, "I tried. I tried to send it to you, and it's gone. So I'm not sending you the money twice." Right. Though he never sent it to them in the first place because he was duped to send it to the wrong place. So the question before the court was, who bears the risk of loss, right? If money gets stolen by a fraudster, right? If a fraudster is able to infiltrate a transaction, who has the risk of loss? And the law in California and the Uniform Commercial Code was relied on in this case. It says the payer, right? The person who's sending the money is responsible unless the payee has done things to trigger and create the situation involved. So the payer is presumed to be responsible, in this case the attorney who sent the money to the wrong place. But if there's factors that say the person who was supposed to receive the money contributed to it, they can bear some or all of the loss as well. So in this case, the guy who sent the money to the bad guy now has to send the money again and a bunch more to the people he agreed to settle with.
Right. So what are some common red flags that should signify, hey, caution when you're sending out settlement funds?
Right.
By wire?
So in this case, there were a bunch of red flags of things that came up. So changed email address, bad phone numbers, all kinds of things. So the biggest thing when you're sending money, because again, if you're sending money, you're on the hook.
Right.
You're presumed to be responsible if it goes the wrong way. Verify the information that you received, and don't verify it with the data on the email you received. Go back to your file, go back to the original data and information you have about the party you're working with, because if the bad guy sends you bad wiring instructions, he's going to send you his contact information. So you're going to verify with the bad guy. It's not going to solve our problem, right? So having multi-factor authentication, making sure that things are sent in a secure way, making sure we are having phone conversations and real communications with the parties that we're working with are ways to mitigate. And from an escrow real estate context, unfortunately, a lot of the wire fraud that's happening right now are buyers sending money to the wrong place. So educating buyers on the risk and the procedures is imperative. So for an escrow, if the buyer sends the money to the wrong place, the buyer's going to be presumed to be responsible for that lost money. But if escrow didn't warn them, if escrow didn't have good procedures, if escrow wasn't managing when they did find out about what happened, those could be factors to start shifting that burden back to escrow for responsibility for the lost money, even though they didn't send it, the money.
Right.
So all of the policies, procedures, communication, all keys to mitigating risk.
Great. So that's really good information for just anyone sending wires.
Absolutely.
How can legal or financial professionals themselves better protect against getting hooked in one of these fraud type cases.
So again, you need to have secure communications. You need to have policies and procedures, not only for how you're going to discuss and send money, but you need a recovery procedure so that if there's a wire fraud, you have a plan to deal with it, right? So notifying the bank, notifying the police, the FBI, right? All of the things that we need to prioritize in order to try and, our first goal is to get the money back.
Right.
Right? And the sooner we know and can do that, the better. But policies, procedures can avoid getting the money sent to the wrong place in the first place if they're managed properly. So making sure you know the risks and have a plan to mitigate them is going to be your best tools.
Great. Well, thank you. And thank you for enjoying the Real News Extra. If you like this content, I ask you to click on like or subscribe. And of course, ring that little bell for future notifications. My name is Fred. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.